This is the Time Machine Rave.
I love the way you get next to me. You take my love so much higher. Ow. Yes, my body on fire. Burn me up in my bones. I'll give you every desire. I feel up with my love, with my love. You are my only 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 love. Baby, can't change what I feel for you. What you give to me, baby, baby, drive me crazy. Ooh, I put my body in motion. You turn me up with the stuff. My heart is filled with emotion. Fill me up with your love, baby, keep it coming. You are my only love. I said you are, baby, my only love. You are, hey, my only love. I said you are my only love. You're the only love, the only love. You're the only love, the only one I love. You're the only love, the only love. You're the only love, the only one I love. You're the only love, the only love. You're the only love, the only one I love. You're the only love, the only love. You're the only love, the only one I love. You are my only 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 love. You are my
Well, what's up, people? Happy Sunday evening. It's Sunday night in Los Angeles, and we're here doing the wheel mix-up thing. So, welcome. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Mine was pretty good. Ain't gonna lie. And I ain't gonna lie about these beats either. Hold on, I gotta go get the wheel. Give me one funky second. There is the wheel that we will be adhering to for this episode. So Cosmic Seeds, what's up? Good to see you tonight. How you doing? Michael Superbacker, welcome. Party indeed. Quarter Outrun, how you doing? E. Martin G, what is up? And yeah, I think I will play Fighters. As long as I hit on Free Play or Adult Karate, I'll play it. And if that doesn't happen, maybe I'll play it at the very end. But we'll see. It'll probably be performed. Mikey Z. I ain't gonna lie, like, I've probably seen it too many times, but I did absolutely think Step Brothers was hilarious. The, like, couple times I saw it, and then I saw it too many times. I was like, oh, I know all the lines now, so it's not fun anymore. Although one of my favorite jokes in that whole movie is when he's I forgot who it was who was showing who, but he was showing his his katana ninja sword, and it was autographed by Randy Jackson. It's so random and stupid. Thank you, Michael Superbacker. I like my setup too. It's been many months of tweaking and adding and subtracting. But now, we have to spin. So let's see what we get on this first spin. Making sure it's really janky how this works. Spin again, wow. $1993. We could certainly do that. 'Cause welcome to the rave. that was 3 tracks from 93. Let's see what we get next, but first, let's say hi to some of these people. Six sets in 24 hours. Madman. And old school raver. I would say the middle of old school is when I first started raving. 1997 was my first full year of raving. Jorge PZ, how you doing tonight? Good to see you. And Michael Superbacker asks, what got you into music? Are you self-taught? How does one figure out how to use all those knobs and buttons? I'd recommend like not being like bad at sports helps a lot, you know. It goes back to childhood, like, you know, everybody's playing kickball or tennis or whatever the fuck they do, and I'm on, you know, the lunch tables drawing or listening to my Walkman or something. And it was just the development of that kind of behavior, which some might consider antisocial behavior, as to what really got me into doing all this stuff and figuring it all out. Just lots of time spent indoors by myself throughout the many decades. And all because I love it, you know. I'm not like making much money from music. I just can't live a life without it having a major part in it. Like, music needs to be somewhere around the center of my life, or it ain't gonna work out. I've tried it before. I've tried to just listen to voice-only podcasts and talk radio. You know what that did to my brain? It made my brain want to destroy itself. But we gotta spin before I get too deep into the madness. So here we go. '94, right in a row. Next year, please. Don't mind if we do. 'Cause welcome to the rave. Hello, Marion. Welcome back. How you doing? DJ QTube. Lovely to see you as well. Wheeling and dealing. That's what we do on Sundays. We wheel and then we deal with the result. Get it? You know? Anyway. OSY, how you doing? Good to see you. So we're at that point where we need to make a decision, or we need to be told the direction to go. So let's consult with the wheel and see what happens. What's up, the Players Club? I don't think I have that. Is that from a video game? But here we go. Let's spin. $94. Come on, man. What? That is getting replaced right now. I will abide by this year right now, but that 94 is not going to come up again. Because you know why? Welcome to the rave.
será para mí. Después serías mío. Si mis sueños salen en verdad, después serías mío. Yo seré para ti. Yo seré para ti.
What's up to DB King 13? How you doing? Welcome back. Why do I worry? Hello. Good to see you. And we have to spin again. I replaced 1994 with 1999. If you ask any mathematician, the exact opposite of 1994 is 1999. Somehow. I don't know. I don't understand math. I leave it to the professionals, but it's a fact. Here we go. Spin again. That's Bright Wheel's specific request on the wheel that I put a spin again. And I often land on it. Increases the randomness, I think. Free play times 2. Uh-oh. I think Cosmic knows what's coming. If I could somehow make it work with this key. Yeah. Sure I could do something. Cause welcome to the rave.
Was kind, but you misread the signs. Take 20 years to clear out all the sides. Oh no. You can count the tears as they fall to the ground, trying to turn despair into a song. So sing along with me. Disregard all the things that you hear, touch, or see. Oh, but one day it will be done. The fear and desolation, you'll
almost wish you can change out all those lies. Whoa, no. They can hear your cries rising up from the ground, trying to live your life through the words of a song. So sing along with me. And you just keep holding on to the sadness you have found. Gonna go ahead and spin while the mix is happening. Why not? Live life on the edge. That's what I say. Sadiqa Zuder, how you doing? Good to see you tonight. And yeah, that was my song Fighters. You can hear it much slower than that on Spotify et al. Well, let's spin again. 1999. That would have been 1994 if I hadn't have changed it. This wheel, man, I don't know. I need to build my own wheel from scratch, just like, Casino wants to build their own dice from scratch to make sure there's no funny business. I don't trust that wheel, man. I think someone on the outside is trying to screw with me through the bad randomness of this wheel. Or maybe I'm just paranoid. Jake Hess, how you doing? Anything from the movie 1984? I don't, but that's a gem of a B movie, man. Do you like the movie Repo Man? Another good one. Anyway, 1999. So welcome to the rave. What's up, Christy C? How you doing today? Welcome back. Good to see you. And we gotta spin again. I'm gonna change the starting point though, because I don't trust my wheel anymore. Here we go. Spin again. $20.10 to now. Wow, I could definitely do that. Because welcome to the rave. we gotta spin again. And yes, this is the Soul Wax remix of Tame Impala's Let It Happen, which was the first track on their legendary album Currents. I was lucky enough to see them live a couple times. Last time was at the Hollywood Bowl for the Slow Rush tour. And I would have gotten merch, but the line was like way too long. And we were just leaving the show, and I was like, I want to go home. I don't want to wait in a 90-minute line. But that's the good thing about the internet, is that you could buy that merch after the fact. Nas1, welcome back. How you doing? And thank you, Sadiq. I'm glad the tunes are tucking you in. That's what they're meant to do. Edward, how you doing? And yeah, as far as track lists go, like when this stream is done, if you comment on the video in the archive after the fact, you can just go to my channel and find whatever broadcast it was and comment that, you know, please upload the full track list, and I will do it. But what's up, Robert? How are you? And I really liked their Tame Impala's, you know, audio-visual experience live. But I think there's a missed opportunity there for him to like really mix the songs together more of like a continuous thing, because he's moving into more dancey territory. And Kevin, if you're listening, I can help you with that. I'm the perfect person to help you with that. Maybe one day. Oh, and Kicks, how you doing? So let's spin this confounded wheel. 97. Stellar valency. Good to see you, and welcome back to the rave.
might know of the original sin. You might know how to play with fire. But did you know of the murder committed in the name of love? Yeah, you thought what a pity. Dream on, white boy, white boy. Dream on, black girl, black girl. Then wake up to a brand new day, to find your dreams are washed away. There was a time when I did not care. There was a time when the facts did stare. There is a dream, and it's held by many. Well, I'm sure you have to see its open arms. Dream on, white boy, white boy. Dream on, black girl, black girl. Then wake up to a brand new day, to find the dreams that washed away. You might know of the original sin. You might know how to play with fire. But did you know of the murder committed in the name of love? Yeah, you thought what a pity. Dream on, white boy, white boy. Dream on, black girl, black girl. And wake up to a brand new day. Dream on, black boy, black boy. Dream on, white girl, white girl. And wake up to a brand new day, to find your dreams that washed away. Dream on, black boy, black boy. Dream on, white girl, white girl. And wake up to a brand new day, to find your dreams that washed away. Play with fire.
White boy, black girl.
In the name of love.
Black boy, white girl. White boy, black girl.
Black boy, white girl. In the name of love, yeah, you thought what you pity. Original sin.
East Coast of mine, meeting on the phone line. Seems that face won't forget. 'cause I feel so in love with you now. We just friends after all, and all these years off and on, you and each day standing tall. Don't let those angry fucking creatures make you small. Falsified my will to grow, but even then you'll catch me if I fall. It's just how you go with this, and you will never be alone. A signal for a life that won't erode. The rain will never let this wash away. We were never meant to be, then what are we? The graveyard in Cambria is where I'll be. I'll wait for you, 'cause we're just friends after all, and all these years off and on, you and each day standing tall. Don't let those angry, ugly creatures make you small, 'cause we're just friends after all, and all these years off and on, you and each day standing tall. Don't let those angry fucking creatures make you crawl. Anyway, thank you all so much. That was fun. That was a winding wheel of rave tonight. Somehow I ended up on We're Friends. Anyhow, thank you all so much. That was my song We're Friends. It's on Spotify, etc. You could look it up. Tonight was a little bit faster than usual, but, you know, the nature of the beast. And for sure, Edward Michael Hutchins, rest in peace. I was a huge fan of INXS when I was a little kid, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. One of my favorite birthday gifts of all time, I still remember, was my friend. We were like 9 or 10 years old, and my neighbor, we were both listening to music, and I was constantly like turning him on to new music, and he knew I liked INXS, and he bought me INXS's first 2 albums on cassette for my birthday, and like when I was 10, I think. And I loved that so much because it was like all these songs that the radio doesn't play, their first 2 albums, they're still kind of weird. I love that kind of shit. That like planted the seeds of my love of obscure 80s stuff, was listening to the first couple INXS albums, of which I was listening to again today while I was showering and whatnot, because I love them still. Although I don't love them when they did the reality TV show. That was embarrassing and cringy. But, you know, up until Michael Hutchins died, they were fantastic. That's all I got for tonight. If you like what you heard today, you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on Twitch, check out the Patreon link in both descriptions. And every Sunday, I upload a new exclusive mix just for Patreon members. And today's mix was, what was it today? Oh yeah, it was like my first idea of today's Patreon mix was the waters of rave, and so lots of rave tracks dealing with water and rivers, oceans, swimming, deep, etc. And I got about 56 minutes into that, and I accidentally pressed stop on the deck instead of the FX button, which is right here. And I just kind of stood there for a second, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I didn't want to start over and do the whole same mix again, so I did another completely different mix called the Wits End mix, where I was frustrated and I just spun whatever came to me. But I thought I'd upload both of those mixes in MP3, so you could check it out now at Patreon. And Mikey is live now, so everybody head on over there, keep the party going, and I will see you all tomorrow for Breakbeat Monday at 11:11 a.m. Pacific Time, right here on YouTube and Twitch in the Time Machine.